Most gardeners treat compost like a cure-all, thinking that piling it on top of beds or stirring it into soil automatically improves growth. That's a mistake. In reality, compost is only part of the solution. Over-reliance on it can lead to imbalances in nitrogen, inconsistent microbial activity, and slower nutrient uptake. Plants may appear healthy at first, but the soil beneath often remains patchy, poorly structured, or prone to compaction. If you've ever seen vigorous top growth while root development lagged or fruit set stalled, that's the consequence of using compost incorrectly or assuming it's all you need. For those who want results, subscribe to Husbandry early, because we focus on practical, tested strategies, not guesswork. Why compost alone doesn't solve soil problems in real gardens. Compost is organic matter, yes, but it varies widely in nutrient content, microbial diversity and texture depending on the source. Shredded leaves, food scraps, or manure-based compost all behave differently. When added without considering ratios or complementary amendments, it can oversaturate some nutrients, particularly nitrogen, while leaving phosphorus or potassium deficient. In raised beds, this shows up as uneven growth or nutrient stress. In small backyard plots, compost can even form a dense mat if it's too fresh or not well incorporated, restricting water penetration and root expansion. Understanding these limitations is the first step to improving results beyond simply piling compost onto soil. What actually works better than compost in most situations? Through multiple seasons of testing in raised beds, backyard gardens and hydroponic setups, the approach that consistently outperforms compost is a layered amendment strategy that combines decomposed organic matter with mineral-rich materials and microbial inoculants. Instead of relying on compost alone, mix it with small amounts of finely ground rock dust, biochar, or even aged manure at roughly a 2-to-1 ratio of compost to mineral or biochar, by volume. Spread this mixture into the top 3 to 4 inches of soil, and water it thoroughly to activate microbial life. This creates a living matrix that retains nutrients, feeds roots, and supports a diverse microbial ecosystem immediately. The result is faster establishment, deeper root growth, and more consistent yields. How to apply this method in raised beds. In a standard 4 by 8 foot raised bed, start by loosening the soil with a fork to a depth of 6 inches. Take roughly 4 gallons of mature compost and mix it with 2 gallons of finely crushed basalt or granite dust and 1 gallon of biochar or well-aged manure. Blend thoroughly and spread evenly over the bed. Lightly rake it into the top 2 to 3 inches of soil to avoid disturbing established roots, and water it in. Within a few weeks you'll notice that seedlings establish faster, leaves are darker, and root systems are more robust. Repeat this top dressing once per season, rather than mixing fresh raw compost into soil multiple times, which can stress existing microbial communities. Why timing and decomposition matter more than quantity. Many gardeners add compost in huge amounts early in the season, thinking more is better, but honestly, that often backfires. Fresh compost continues to decompose in the soil, tying up nitrogen while microbes work through carbon-heavy material. That means your plants have to compete for nitrogen during a critical growth window. By using fully decomposed compost in combination with minerals or biochar, you provide nutrients immediately while stabilizing microbial populations. The practical takeaway is this: apply compost when it's mature, at roughly 1 to 2 inches depth in raised beds, and always combine it with a mineral or carbon amendment to balance the system. So, how does this work in small backyard gardens? Well, even in 3 by 3 foot plots or container gardens, the principle is exactly the same. Take a bucket of mature compost, add a cup or 2 of finely crushed rock dust or powdered oyster shell, and a small handful of biochar, if you've got it. Mix thoroughly and sprinkle evenly over the planting area. Water to settle the mixture, then plant directly. You'll notice that transplants establish faster, soil moisture is held more consistently, and nutrient deficiencies are less frequent. Over a single growing season, the difference is noticeable compared to compost alone. Why is this relevant for hydroponic systems? Hydroponic growers often assume soil amendments don't apply to them, but when using media like cocoa coir, peat, or grow stones, the same principles really do matter. Incorporating a small amount of decomposed organic matter combined with mineral additives helps stabilize pH, improves microbial diversity, and buffers nutrients. For example, take 1 part mature compost, 1 part biochar, and a few teaspoons of mineral dust for every 10 liters of media. Let it soak in water for several hours before planting seedlings. This creates a living, nutrient buffering matrix that prevents sudden swings in nutrient availability and supports root health. Let's talk about what gardeners often get wrong about microbial life in compost. Some advice focuses entirely on adding compost tea or commercial inoculants to boost microbial populations, but honestly, that's often unnecessary if your compost is mature and mixed with minerals or biochar. Microbes need food, moisture, and surface area to establish, not just a sprinkle of starter culture. By providing a well-balanced mixture in the soil itself, you create a habitat where microbes multiply naturally and stay active throughout the growing season. In practical terms, this means healthier roots, faster nutrient uptake, and more resilience to drought or stress. Now, how do you integrate this approach into your long-term garden plan? Well, this isn't a one-time fix. Seasonal top dressing with the compost mineral biochar mix is ideal. In spring, apply the mixture as described to kickstart growth. Mid-season, assess the soil and apply a light top dressing of compost with a handful of minerals if needed. For perennials and longer-term beds, incorporate the mixture around planting holes or along the root zone. Over time, soil structure improves, microbial populations stabilize, and nutrient cycling becomes more predictable. So, what results should you expect compared to compost alone? Across multiple trials in backyard plots, raised beds and hydroponic setups, this approach consistently outperforms compost-only applications. Seedlings establish faster, root systems are deeper, and yields are higher and more uniform. Plants are more resilient to heat or inconsistent watering because soil moisture is retained more effectively, and nutrient availability is balanced. Over successive seasons, soil fertility improves without continuous large-scale additions of compost, which is both practical and efficient. The subtle benefits most gardeners overlook go beyond immediate nutrient effects. This method enhances soil texture and aeration. Compacted soils loosen more readily, microbial life thrives, and organic matter breaks down at a balanced rate. Unlike compost alone, which can create dense mats or uneven nutrient pockets, the combination ensures soil remains friable, porous, and biologically active. This just makes all subsequent gardening easier, from planting seedlings to managing weeds, without additional labor-intensive interventions. Final thoughts and some actionable advice. If you want better results than compost alone, stop treating it as a magic solution. Combine mature compost with minerals or biochar, apply in manageable layers, maintain moisture, and let microbes do the work. Whether you're growing in raised beds, backyard plots, or hydroponic media, this strategy consistently produces healthier plants, deeper roots, and more predictable yields. Take the time to integrate this into your seasonal garden plan, and you'll see measurable improvements in every crop you grow. For gardeners serious about growing the best food, subscribe to Husbandry Now. Each video delivers practical, proven strategies that work in real gardens, not just theory. Share this video with others who want to maximize productivity and soil health without guesswork, and start seeing the difference a properly balanced amendment system can make in your own beds.